export some of the production outside, mainly coffee and tea. But also, there are also some crops that are in the region, like plantains, cassava, potato, maize, and others. Even though Rwanda has made some great production outside, mainly coffee and tea, but also there are also some crops that are in the region, like plantains, cassava, becomes interesting, potato, maize, and others. So that even though Rwanda has made some great make more efficient outside, mainly some of the but also that's where innovators are trying really to tailor their solution. Like, and I think the panel today will actually take potato, maize, and others. So that two things. Even though Rwanda has made some great make more efficient outside, mainly some of the but also the region where mainly due to climate change to tailor their solution. Like, and I think the panel today will actually take sometimes affects agriculture. So that two things. Even though there's also a problem with some weak processing capacity, make more efficient outside, mainly closes. There's also an issue around how do you monitor to tailor the crops. Like whereby the markets they will actually rely on affects traditional knowledge. Yet there's also a problem with these are some of the challenges capacity make more efficient. Most of you are trying to solve through technology. There's also an issue around good enough. If you look at some of the studies, like whereby FDP they will actually rely on affects traditional knowledge. Actually show that technology these are some of the challenges more efficient mobile solve the internet technology. There's also drones to monitor. Now even talking about precision. If you look at some of the studies, as you know, Rwanda is multi-D is growing. We need to really try to show that technology these are some of the challenges more efficient mobile to solve the internet technology. There's also drones to monitor. Satellite imaging, sensors to monitor the temperature. All these things really we need to, according to studies, show that the findings are really making impacts. Light on that, and I hope working on a number of satellite imaging, sensors to monitor some questions. You want to all these things we need, according to studies, show that the findings are really making impacts. Like upon the light on that, and I hope them to join the satellite imaging. So today we have questions. You want to all these things. Lilian is a lady. She runs a startup company called Mahuitech. She's been developing solutions for ICT in agriculture. A round of applause as you welcome her. So today we have questions. You want to have all these things. Lilian is actually, if you read through most of the literature, there's something called Mahuitech. She's been developing solutions for ICT. The more ICTs are in agriculture, today we have questions that becomes attractive. The more the youth. Actually, if you read through most of the literature, there's something called Mahuitech. She's been Mr. Regis. He will tell us more why young people are now venturing into agriculture, as it's known, mainly in our countries. People know the youth. Actually, if you read through most of the literature, but as we come today in Mahuitech, she's been tell us Mr. Regis. He will tell us more why is really young people fancy interesting agriculture, but we also need to have known sectors, mainly in our countries. If you want to go into agriculture, you need to understand some of the dynamics. You need to understand as we come the value chain. You need to know who are the actors. Tell us Mr. Regis, because tell us more why is really young people reports are very interesting. Some of, but you also need to have known sectors, innovators in our countries. If you want to go into agriculture, you need to understand some of the dynamics. You need to know talk to farmers, the value chain, and in the end, no one uses their solution. Tell us them get frustrated because tell us more why is really young people reports are very interesting. Some of, but you also need to have known sectors, innovators in agriculture. If you want to go into who has been doing work around agriculture, who can actually enlighten us on what is no one uses how is it conducted. What are some of the realities in Rwanda? We are lucky to have Jean Paul, who is the country manager of Agro Rwanda. He has more of a decade of experience in agriculture. He's an agriculture specialist. He will tell us more about agriculture. Would you welcome the panelists? What are some of the realities in Rwanda? We are lucky to have Jean Paul, who is the country manager of Agro Rwanda. He has more of a decade of experience in agriculture. He's an agriculture specialist. He will tell us more, as I said, agriculture. Would you welcome the panelists? So that what are some of the realities really important to understand? Lucky to have Jean Paul, and help the young veterans that are here today. He has more. We wanted to understand in agriculture some of the dynamics around the agriculture value chain in Rwanda. What are some of the dynamics? What are some of the considerations to keep in mind as we think of developing young technological talent? You can just tell us more about that. I think that would be helpful. Some of the dynamics around the agriculture value chain in Rwanda. What are some of the dynamics? What are some of the considerations to keep in mind as we think of developing young technological talent? You can just tell us more about that. I think that would be helpful. Some of the dynamics around the agriculture value chain in Rwanda. What are some of the dynamics? What are some of the considerations to keep in mind as we think of developing young technological talent? You can just tell us more about that. I think that would be helpful. Some of the dynamics around the agriculture value chain in Rwanda. What are some of the dynamics? What are some of the considerations to keep in mind as we think of developing young technological talent? You can just tell us more about that. I think that would be helpful. Some of the dynamics around the agriculture value chain in Rwanda. What are some of the dynamics? What are some of the considerations to keep in mind as we think of developing young technological talent? You can just tell us more about that. I think that would be helpful. Some of the dynamics around the agriculture value chain in Rwanda. What are some of the dynamics? What are some of the considerations to keep in mind as we think of developing the same way you can just tell us more about that. I think that would be helpful. The same way you may be without maybe. So I can see an opportunity right here. I'd like to consideration to keep in mind as we think of developing the same way you can just tell us more about that. I think that would be helpful. The same way whatever you want to call it, without any language opportunity. So I can see an opportunity right here in helping someone you move this as so that they can developing the same way you can get an example. If you go anywhere, the same way they will tell you whatever you want to call it, without any language opportunity. So I can see an opportunity right here. A farmer in the so that they can developing the same way you can get an example. If you go anywhere, the same way they will tell you where you have more acid, whatever you want to go, even need more light. A permanent so some of you who have that knowledge, helping Rwandan farmers know the state if you go anywhere, could be an opportunity where you have more acid, whatever you want to go. The second thing is the crops. More, some crops, as some of you may know, like so some of you who have that and having an application based on the result of your soil helps you could be an opportunity where you have more whatever you want to. The second thing is the crops. More, some would be also another area as some of you may know. And then some of knowing how to take care of that crop, having an application based on the result of your soil. Now, how you grow that crop? Maybe an application where they know this is the right time to grow. The second thing is the crops. Some of this is another area, right? Chemical to use when you get this. And then, so those are the kind of things that I haven't seen much. Having an app that they would be need based on the result of the extension services that are digitally driven, where you just put on your mobile phone, or I want to do soya, when is the right time to plant? Because particularly soya is a crop that depends on the sun and rain.
So they must flower at a particular time. You miss that, it affects your yield. And then go all the way into, when do we harvest? Especially when you are in this area of fruit trees and others, there is a huge difference. Rain, so between they must flower at a particular mango, time. You miss that, it affects your yield. And then go all the way into, that? You harvest it earlier, especially when you are in this area of fruit trees and others. Or there is a huge difference. Rain, so between they must arrive at a particular right time. You miss that. I've even told some are investing, and then go all the way into bananas and all those. You harvest it. So basically, without taking too much, area of take agriculture and others as there is a huge difference. Rain, so between they must arrive at a particular right time. You miss that. I've even told some are investing, and then go all the way into bananas and all those. You harvest it. So basically, without taking too much, because take agriculture as there is a huge difference. Rain, so between they must arrive at a particular right time.
Yeah, thanks.
I've even told some are
I think
and then go all the way.
you're really shedding light on some of these realities that probably
without taking too much,
do not really.
Take agriculture.
Now, next,
there is a huge difference.
Numerous books and fine. Thanks.
I've even told some are
I think average really shedding light on some of these realities that probably increasing and do not really is that not many young people actually venture. Now, next, but yourself and your other colleagues, numerous culture books and fine. Thanks. Just want to hear your personal story. I think average really shedding light on some of these realities that probably increasing and do not really is that not many young people actually venture. Now, next, but yourself and your other colleagues, numerous culture books and fine. Thanks. Just want to hear your personal story. I think average really shedding light on some of these realities that probably increasing and do not really is that not many young people actually venture. Now, next, but yourself and your other colleagues, numerous culture books and fine. Thanks. Just want to hear your personal story. I think average really shedding light on some of these realities that probably increasing and do not really is that not many young people actually venture. Now, next, but yourself and your other colleagues, numerous culture books and fine. Thanks. Just want to hear your personal story. I think average really shedding light on some of these realities that probably increasing and do not really is that not many young people actually venture. Now, next, but yourself and your other colleagues, numerous culture books.
And it's by the agriculture in partnership with ministries like Minedik and Minedik, which one? She was there actually. She was the secretary of the RIAF. So being interested in agriculture when I was at university, it was in 2013, I think, where every person, every student who are about to finish their studies, they do what we call the. And as a person who did agriculture, economics, and agribusiness, I was looking something which is special, which can impact more farmers. And I came up with an idea of working with the sweet potatoes, because I saw my big problem is in the farming. In that time, it was there was a big gap in malnutrition issue. I think it was 40% of children was having a malnutrition issue. Now it's 35, right? And the problem in post-harvest loss. So the sweet potato, the crop, which has losses across the country. And I realized that actually 9 out of 10 households has a small plot of sweet potatoes. But in that time, no one was interested in it. And I was asking myself why sweet potatoes is considered like this. And I went to library, it, even asked the user, you know, I get, because times there was maybe in 2002 where there was a huge production of sweet potatoes, and the people started calling them bad names. I don't want to mention it, but some of you knows. And being interested in that, I did my dissertation on that. And after finishing my dissertation, I decided to do something that can impact, that can change the lives of the farmers. My dream and my life purpose is uh, to make changes in the lives of people. And I was looking something that will help me to achieve that. So agriculture was the first sector to do that. That's why I decided to venture into agribusiness. So after finishing my dissertation, I meet with the farmers. They told me about their challenges they are facing, and they say, okay, we'll come back with some of the solutions. So, and then I came up with how I can add value to those sweet potatoes in 2014. And after 2 months of my graduation, I meet with my colleague, and we a group, and we started with nothing. We are more than 10 people, 100 farmers, and even yesterday we contracted farmers. But agriculture now agriculture, as my brother said, it's not agriculture at all. It's from farm to fork. So in Rwanda, Rwanda Youth and Agribusiness Forum, we have 5 clusters. We have primary production, we have livestock production, we have ICT in agriculture, we have agro input and service, we have also value addition, which is agro processing. So from the beginning, from farm to fork, there are huge opportunities. So I can say that agriculture is a way of life. If you want to make money, if you want to make the impact, if you want to have something that can impact the economic of the country, you can venture into agriculture.
Thanks so much. So that was an interesting story. From school to being driven by making an impact, to engaging farmers and creating a company right after school. I think that's a great story. Now, Lillian, young woman, I think for the last 6 or 5 years, you've been running Maui Tech. It's a startup company, probably becoming an established company in a few months. You're developing solutions for the farmers as an ICT innovator. Why agriculture? Why not other sectors? What keeps you going as you face challenges, as you try to get more users? Just tell us about that journey of, a graduate who started a startup, and all of a sudden you decided to actually focus. And as you know, we have young innovators here who are trying their first ideas, who want to actually mature their startups, and they're still trying to figure out how to make it. I'm sure you're somewhere there. Just tell us about yourself, your startup, and why agriculture really matters.
Good morning, everyone. I'm so delighted to be here, especially in a room filled with, I think 70% or 65% of women and young women. Am I mistaken? Yes, I can see a lot of faces. So my name is Lillian, as you mentioned, and I've been on this journey and this rough business ecosystem of ICT I sit in ag for the last 6 years. And I can say it's not been an easy journey, but it's been very rewarding. Because whenever you're working on something you're passionate about, something that changes lives, then it's worth all the effort. So just like Regis, my journey also began from school. Just like most of you are trying out new ideas, I can relate to your story. Because when we also started, I did my thesis in the university. It was in my third year, when I had a dream of actually um, having my own company. I didn't know where to start, but I gathered some group of friends and shared with them my vision. So they adopted the vision. They wanted to be part of it. And it's not like we started in ag. We started on something that is critical health. That's where we started from. But 1 year into health, we realized that it won't give us the ability to innovate further. But what was there on our hearts was something that would actually change lives. That's something that impacts the lives of everybody. So that's when we switched from health to ag. That was in 2012, early 2012. When we started it, it wasn't something so obvious as it is now. It was a new venture. People could not hear it. People wouldn't understand ICT and ag. Sitting on the steering committee of Minagri for the first time. And when we were pitching what we had in mind, it was something fetched. Yeah? Because right now, you think it's all years ago, it wasn't. It was like, I don't know. It was far-fetched, really. You'll tell, because as we know, the ag sector and the people who dominate that sector, you think of old people who are vulnerable, who have no education, and then thinking of technology, taking it to such kind of and the link. So it was first a matter of first preaching, and not just preaching by action, you know. So we had to visit a few co-ops to really understand even ourselves, because we knew nothing about agriculture. My background is in computer science, computer engineering and information technology. So I understand my challenge. I had the passion, but I had no knowledge. Yeah? So you go to the farm, you try to understand what exactly these people are doing, how they do it, what are some of the challenges they face. Then they have all list of different problems which you cannot address as you. Remember, you're a graduate, you haven't even finished school. And they're looking at you and they're like, we're facing A, B, C, D. How can you help us? So so we took account of their problems, and we'll go back to our labs at school and start working on some of the demos, you know. Initially we started with demos, you know, that's what we all go through. You know, you have an application, then you pitch, and then people run codes, and then something comes out. But you know, that is just a demo, because when you go into the real world, there's a lot of changes that you have to go through. So that was our journey for the next 1 or 2 years, you know, trying to test out different ideas, coming back, testing with the farmer, things don't work, you go back. A product that could be sold to the market. Now there was initial funds, you know, funds buy that product because they don't understand what you're doing, okay? And then the environment and the industry you're working in doesn't understand it and do to support thing to work because you believe you have. You've seen it work elsewhere and you believe it can in your country. So this is something that I can testify to. When you do your best and you really work hard and you do like, you just, you're just convinced with what you're doing, somehow doors open for you, you know. It's just not a matter of sitting and working. You have to go and knock on every door and try to convince people that what you're doing, you need it. And in no time, doors started opening, you know. But what I want to share as a takeaway from here is that I know most of you are working on these exciting applications. But sharing from my challenges is, first of all, don't work in isolation. Work with the users, okay? Whatever you're doing, even if it can be just a small sample size, test it with the users. Hear their feedback. I know they're not educated. I know you think you're smart. I know you think you have the knowledge and the skills, but at the end of the day, these are the people who are going to use your what? Your innovation, your application. So you need their feedback. Because that's one of the mistakes we did. Sometimes we'll develop things and think that we'll just take it to them, they'll adopt it. But one of the things we discovered at first is that even the solutions we're developing, they didn't have the tools to actually use it. Because you think maybe, oh, okay, they don't have smartphones, but they have feature phones. But at some point, we were shocked to find that even the feature phones, I'm talking about 2013, 14, 15, even these feature phones they didn't have. And then at the end of the day, you realize, wow, I have an innovation, but there's no way they can use it. You see? And then at some point you'd say, okay, with the information I'm giving, I think they need a laptop. But now imagine teaching a farmer how to use a laptop. They don't even know how to switch it on. You understand? Then you realize, oh man, where do I start? There's a lot of capacity building that has to go on. They need also the tools that are affordable. But I can say you guys are in a ready building that has been going on. When the youth were not so interested in ag as it is now. Back then, you'd go and then, I mean, the things have these co-ops coming in. You ready? Oh, okay. You have to switch the entire training curriculum you had in place. Because honestly, these people they cannot grasp what you're telling them. So that's why I'm really on the point of whatever you're testing, whatever you try, level of their knowledge, what's see what's happening around that could actually and a conducive environment for your innovation. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Lillian, for sharing your journey with us. I hope some of you are being inspired. 6 years journey, I believe you can share more. But as some of you might not know, we are joined here with young innovators working on a couple of solutions. Very, very interesting solutions from using Internet of Things to monitor, what people are planting. Interesting solutions here. And back to JP, as an agriculture specialist, you've been in Rwanda for many years. You've worked in ag sector for time. Do you really see room for ICT to play a role? What are some of those challenges you've probably come across directly or indirectly, where you think that what these young innovators are working on or any other solution in the ICT can really make a change? If you could practically tell us some of those challenges, try to align what you're doing with the challenges.
Challenges are there, and they will always be there. That's why we need a young entrepreneur like you. Maybe share with you some of the solutions that have started coming that are making a big difference. If you've been around, the government of Rwanda cares so much about the farmers that it has created a subsidy system to help the farmer afford seeds and fertilizers, right? Up to recently, you go to the sector office, you register yourself, you say your land, and then fertilizer, sometimes it's not there. Maybe sometimes the seed you want is not what is given to you. That has been a big challenge, including fraud, people, fictive people going to register as if they are farmers and they are not farmers. Now, today there is a solution. You probably know SNS, right? SNS Nkunganire. It's smart Nkunganire system, right? Designed by Beka Tech House. That system, though it's still in the early stage, has removed a lot of bureaucracy because just by your phone, you register on the system, you give in the size of your land, options are given the seed you can plant, quantities is automatically calculated because they are preset. And what is happening, the government now is able to estimate the demand so that they can plan for the supply of fertilizers and seed. That's one of the solutions that I want you to build on and even add more features that are not there. The other solutions that are here are in the area of aggregation and post-harvest, and I think my sister also is in that area, right? It breaks my heart to see a farmer who works hard, and once they have a harvest, they don't know where to sell. They have worked 4 months, 5 months, and they have quality produce, but they don't know where to take it. Now, some of you have those brain that can bring a solution where on a smartphone they say, I have 5, pieces of bananas, Kamaramasenge or Gros or something. And somebody else will say, okay, I have a market for that. And then you do the linkages, you get your commission, So that's how life goes, right? And I can go on and on and on. But maybe to plant an idea into your head, 3 things I want you to not allow to discourage you, because I know most of you will face those 3. I call them myth. Myth number 1. Some of you will say, there is already a solution. Why would I bring a new solution when there is already a solution, right? Don't be discouraged by that, because if you see how many companies sell water in the city of Kigali, there are probably more than 5 or 10, right? The choice is with the customer, right? So do your application, do your solution, wanting to meet the needs of the farmer, and don't worry about whether there is an existing or not, because we have to know that in the past came and went, and others have come and stayed. You probably don't know that in the old days there used to be black and white TV. Some of you maybe have not seen, but now they were there in their time. Now there is color TV, or fax machine where you had to put some paper somewhere. Now we are scanning. So I want to say, myth number 1, don't think that because there is a solution out there, I can't venture into that sector, because your solution may be cheaper, may be better, may be easier to use. So just get there and compete. That's what the word is. Now, myth number 2, you may think you don't have resources. Some people think that to start a business or a company or something, I want to say no. As start small, start where you are and grow organically. And I would say, don't let lack of resources hinder your product, because there are some companies today that I know for that good idea. I just returned from Accra. Agra, the company I lead in Rwanda, every year set up a platform where we look for smart young innovators with good ideas that we need to scale up, right? And you need to have been there, you need to have tested for somebody to look at how this thing has a potential, right? I lived in Kenya, and you may have heard of M-Pesa and all those. Those ideas came from young students, right? But once somebody look at it and see the potential of it, then they are taken up to scale, right? That's myth number 2. But the last myth, which I also want you not to allow to discourage you, is there is no market, because especially in agriculture, people associate agriculture with old, uneducated people. And I want to tell you, if there is a sector that has a huge potential for growth 5-10 years from now, it's agriculture, right? And the market for agriculture or any other market, you prepare it, you set it up, right? And that's why I'm saying, think of agriculture not as of today, think of it as of 5, 10, 20 years from now, and you'll be surprised. In developed countries, farmers make more money than bankers, or accountants. Here is the other way around. Actually, if somebody wants really to insult you, they say, go be an agriculturalist. But, tell them that's a good thing. Today, you don't see the potential. And I want to tell you, everybody eat at least once a day, right? And agriculture is a sector that is improving and changing, and new varieties are coming. And so we need people like you to maximize on what is there, to create another curve that will be beneficial to you, also that will be beneficial to farmers. Because as Claude said in the beginning, you already have 70% of the Rwandan population right there as your client. So what else? Just go there and venture. And us in Agra, what we do, we will accompany you. We are not a bank, so we don't ask interest. But, there are many ideas. We need to pick the best. And once you emerge among the best, not only us, many other people want to, lift you up and make you fly. Thank you.
Thanks, JP, for uncovering those myths that entrepreneurs face. I'm sure there are a couple of others, and so feel free to grab him during the networking session. I'm sure he can share more insight. Now, Mr. Farmer, Mr. Regis, you own a company. You're part of the Umbrella Association for Young People in Agriculture. Speaking of technology and digitalization, have you adopted any digital tool in your company? Either even speaking on behalf of other REAF members, to which extent a young-led agriculture company adopting technology? If you've done so, what was that about? And if not, then why not? If you really believe in technology, tell us.
Actually, as I said, agriculture is a value chain from farm to fork, and ICT, it's a cross-cutting sector where from each part of the value chain, you need the ICT tool. So in my company, I'm telling you, ICT tool is one of the things we use to use most of our time, mostly in marketing. I remember we opened our Twitter account, it was in 2015. That's where we started being known in the city and even the government. As I said, sweet potato was not really a crop who is interesting, even the government. But I'm telling you now, last week, 2 weeks ago, last week, there was an international conference on sweet potatoes and potato in Rwanda. So I'm happy that I was part of that movement of changing, given the mindset of the government. Recently, the Minister of Agriculture came to our office, and she committed to duplicate what we are doing here in Kigali to different provinces. But when I was looking why the government is, I think it's part of ICT solutions, right? And we use mostly Twitter, Instagram, those Facebook, and etc. But let's come to those social media. Yesterday, when we were signing the contract with farmers, one of them asked me a question. She said, so we are signing a contract, and how do we ensure that we not, if we cultivate the sweet pot at the same time, and then how do we ensure that if we harvest at the same time, there will not be huge production and we will not be able to buy our product? And I said, okay, I'm thinking about IT solutions where we can have a database of all farmers, and we will having a solution where each farmer should have a message telling them you have to do, you have to grow this date, and you will harvest this time, and maybe even the time for planting, putting fertilizers, those kind of information that farmer need. And then in that case, in the future, we'll be sure that they will not be the harvesting at the same time because they didn't even cultivate at the same time. So according to the season, the farmer, that's what I'm thinking. Maybe you as IT creators and solutions creators, you may help me to think about those kind of IT tools. But it was a very interesting question to make sure that we have each farmer, we have power to buy the product without mixing or without having the huge production, and then we're not able to buy those production. So in the future, we need those kind of IT solutions. We are processors, but we need those kind of solutions. So even in my colleagues, we have other young entrepreneurs who are in the ICT. Liliane is among them, but we have other many young entrepreneurs who are venturing in the ICT tools. But when it comes to the ICT tools, not only the apps on the phones, there are different IT tools you may use, like in mechanization, irrigation, and even post-harvest handling. So we need those kind of tools. So there are some people who are already started, but they are still few. So we need you to come on board and let's make our agriculture more cool and sexy. Because, agriculture is not, most what the government need from young people is not going to farm and having that things. So we need the young people to farm on the phone. You know, instead of going to farm on soil, you can do farming on phone. So that's what we are looking for from you guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Regis. I think I picked two things. Visibility. So farmers need to be visible for domestic and international markets. I think that's an area where ICT can play a role, but also, how do you remind farmers? How do you send them reminders so that they know what to do at every specific time, part of the whole, process? I think innovators open wide your ears and try to, innovate, but also grab him later. Probably he needs more solutions, and you can speak to him. Now, Lilian, you run a startup company for the last 6 years. You've been really working with farmers, and in most cases, people tend to say that young innovators, geek as they call them, they just jump on their laptops, they develop things, they don't really know who is a farmer. You touched on it a bit earlier. They don't really get to talk to the farmers, and I've seen some of the innovations being proposed here. They really sound fancy, they're interesting, drones, IoT, augmented reality, all these fancy terminologies. But how do you really place the farmer at the center of what you're doing as the end user. How do you get to that point? Where do you do that? And if you can use practical examples, even if you can even allude to where you actually missed it and you had to go back to your drawing board to make sure that the farmer uses what you're proposing. If you can tell us a bit about that.
Thank you, Claude. Yes, as he says, 6 years has been a long, long time. And we've had a lot of challenges, but we've had to go back and redo our work. Yeah. So what I can say is that it's reiterating the point I made earlier. It's to work with the farmer at every step. Yeah. Work with the farmer at every step. You don't need to, when you fail for the first time, fail does not mean that you failed completely. Okay? It's just a matter of trying out something new, and then once it fails, you try a different approach. You look at failure in that aspect. I remember when we first approached the farmer, we didn't have we went with an application that was online, yeah. So we thought buying one of the mistakes I remember making. You go to the farmer, you interest this cooperative, they're interested in your solution, and then after that you decide to buy a laptop for them to be able to use your solution. Is that scalable? It's not, right? Yeah. But you're trying to make sure that they have the tools to use your application. So in our own way, we thought maybe if we bought them a laptop, got one of them, maybe one of the farming, the members to act as a facilitator, we train them on how to use our tools, probably that will be the best approach. But then later we realized that this is not scalable. It may work for a few cooperatives, but you can't go on buying laptops for everyone. They won't attach value to what you're doing. And eventually when you want payment, they will withdraw and you lose a client. So that was an attempted trial, but which was not scalable. So we learned from it. Then that's when we say, okay, now instead of giving them the solution on where they have to use a laptop, why don't we now use what? The phone, okay? And then that's when now we went to USSD code, because now at least some of them can use mobile money. So that means they can use, USSD technology. But then even that, it's not like you tell them and then they get it. But at least it's not as much as they're using what? A laptop. Even that one is costly, yeah? But then at least it is what? It is scalable. So one of the things I'm trying to point out here, you try to understand, before you make any decision, before you try to implement anything, understand your client. Understand your client, know what they're capable of doing, know their skill set, know their level of knowledge, and really start, and don't, at your first attempt, don't attempt on a large sample size, okay? Start small. Start small so that when you fail small, okay? And then you learn. Yeah, and recover quickly, yeah? Because when you start big, you invest a lot, and then when failure comes, it really hits you hard, that you find it really hard to get back on your feet. So what I'll encourage to some of you who are trying new solutions, make sure you have, whether it's a cooperative, just one of them, but make sure you always, at every step, you're always consulting them, okay? At every step. I remember after those trials that we made and different failures, there's a consultancy I got with the World Bank, which really made sure that we understand the type of client we're serving. We assessed for over 30 cooperatives in different parts of the country. Now that's where you have to sit with them at least 4 to 6 hours, trying to understand every nitty-gritty of their work, their transactions, like looking at the entire, like every aspect of their business, whether it's production, whether it's the market, the supply, the demand. You're looking at their finances, you're looking at their partners, you're looking at every single aspect of the cooperative, and then trying to understand, how do they do this? How do they do this? So how can I make it easier for them with the ICT tools that we have in place? So it's very, very important. And after that, that's when we had to go back to our labs now, and now try to redesign our system to meet the exact need that they're facing. And I remember when we presented to them what we had, they're like, yeah, I think this one can work, not what you had before, you see? So that was a learning experience, but it comes from what? The user. The people to correct you are not these people on the back end. A client is the one who says, this can work for me, this cannot work. So whenever you're trying out this, have the patience to listen. Listen to what they're saying, and then go back and work on it. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Lillian. I think we definitely need to place the user at the center, or we miss it. Back to you, JP. You had Agra Rwanda, and one of the things that this program really wants to focus on is linkage with the industry. Innovators can work on a very interesting solution, but if they really miss an ecosystemic view, then probably something might go wrong. And one of the things we really want to focus on with the innovators is to link them with private actors, or even other, people are doing some work in that field, in the ag field. And looking at Agra, of late, you've been really focusing on digital in agriculture. If you could just tell us more about that, why that drive, and then also, as we wind up, you've had a chance to look through some of the innovations people are working on. Just what's your message to them as they embark on this journey of trying to work hard to tailor or to craft their solutions?
Thank you. I was excited actually coming here because I'm hoping you guys will make my job also easier, because we must impact 400,000 farmers in the next 2-3 years. And when we say impact, it's life changed, right? And probably if we partner, if we work together, we could all get there. But to answer the question, key partners you can't afford to miss. Actually, that can give you also a clue into what you want to do. The first one is the government, right? Because the government of Rwanda has made a strategic choice to embrace ICT, right? And not only in agriculture, in all aspects. When you actually look at Rwanda compared to other African countries, we're way up there with the rainbow, with, and most of these are locally innovated ideas, right? And we want you to continue supporting us, supporting the government in making the dream a reality when it comes to embracing technology and the digital era. Let me give you maybe one area that I think you could want to venture or explore. When you see the direction we are going as a country, we are going into where we want farmers to stop thinking, the boundary of my farm must be demarcated by a tree or a umuyenzi, I don't know how to call it, So we want to have boundaryless farms, right? And that when you tell it a peasant who is 60 or 50 years old, say, remove the boundary of your farm, they get, what? How will I know my farm size? How we know? But, now with the technology and satellite, you can easily know the demarcation of your land and remove those trees and whatever that you used to think are the demarcation of your land. And guess what it brings? It brings the possibility of using a tractor to till the whole area, what we call land consolidation. And guess what it brings? it brings the possibility of all of you having one plot of land as a commonly owned asset, with each one of you having a share, where when now you yield, each one get a portion that is proportionate to the size of his plot, right? Isn't it possible? But as she said, you need to educate Rwandans, right? You need to help people realize that actually the boundary in the digital era, in the artificial intelligence era, it's not what you see, it's what is in your head and on your paper, because you still have a title deed, right? So that support hugely the government, because basically we'll graduate our farmers from using the hoe on a quarter of a hectare to using a tractor, a planter, a sprayer, on 20 hectares. Now, the direct impact of that, it's increase of yield, definitely. And when there is an increase of yield, there is also an increase of income. So that's one area. So government as a partner. But two, there is a lot of private sector here that you need to know that can really be a good asset to you. And one of them are banks, right? We have development banks, and we have institutions that want to walk the journey with you. And you need to know them, right? The irony of things, most of people who can be helpful to you will not come looking for you. It's you who have to go looking for them, right? And since you are not only one looking for them, there's 20 or 50 of you looking for them, you need to know where they are, but take a message that is unique, right? That's why we call it innovation, right? And I don't know how many of you know there is a desk in Rwanda Development Board that is geared towards supporting the youth, just benefit from ICT and innovation, right? We have a whole bank, Rwanda Development Bank. We have NGOs and other partners who are saying, where are those ideas? Where are those people who can help us, get better? So just look for the private sector, civil companies, NGOs that can be useful to you, and then make your pitch. And finally, as she said, know your customer who will end up using your application. Earlier I said, don't worry about those other applications that are there, but think like a farmer, and say, if I bring this solution, it will either reduce time, right? Or it will increase efficiency. An example I want to give you also that is pretty good, and we want actually to put some funds into that. One company here decided to help farmers sell their maize on cobs, before they kungura them, before they shell them. And that innovation alone have helped farmers, especially between season 1 and season B, create space to prepare their land, because otherwise they would be taking their maize to the sun, drying them, or getting them off. And those kind of innovation that help improve efficiency, that increase the quality of goods, if you tap them with ICT and use some solutions, mechanization, like introduce dryers or other things that require brain like yours, you will have really helped the farmer to save time and make an income. And to conclude, as I maybe say, how can we be helpful to you? How can Agra be helpful to you? I'm thinking 3 areas. One is to help you with exposure, right? The meeting I just came in from Ghana will happen here next year in 2020, right? It's called AGRF, Africa Green Revolution Forum. And every year without fail, we have what we call the deal room. The deal room is a place we create for investors to come to meet, investees, people who have ideas or something they want to pitch. So you can start preparing now. It will be September next year, and we work with RDB to make sure we pick at least the top 10 or the top 20, And once you actually win, or once you get an investor, not only you get somebody to give you debt or equity, but we give you also a prize, because we are more interested in African, cooked solutions, right? That's one. So just be on the lookout, prepare your things. At least every other year, in September, you have 50, 100 investors here interested in agriculture and what you're doing. But the second way we can be useful to you is we operate across Africa and we have partners across the globe. As you mature your idea, you may say, who else is doing what I'm doing, right? We can link you with other people who have been in the area, either to mentor you or to tell you the do's and the don'ts, or to help you refine your ideas. And not only Agra can do that, there is many other people who can connect you, with other people who are in the sector doing the same thing with you. And the last thing, I put it last because we don't have resources to do it for everyone. If the idea is really good and cutting edge, we can fund it, And as I said, we are not a bank. We don't ask interest. We give grants, and we give grants for something that really cutting edge, that is, innovative. And as you may know, you have a benefit I don't have. I'm over 50, and once you are below 30, you are called a youth, right? And Rwanda, we have enough youth. And once even you couple it to being a female, then money will run to you when you have a good idea.
So
Thank you.
above 30, we have no luck? Is it too late or?
No, you can still try your luck. Actually, some people define young up to 35, but even if you are 40, bring your ideas,
Yeah, let's consider 35 so that some of us feel safe. So, Regis, you're a farmer. You're here representing other farmers. You've had a chance to look through some of the solutions. What do you think? What do you want to tell these young innovators as they really work hard to, get their solution off the ground? And as we just heard, people have money looking for brilliant solutions. So there's definitely no excuses. Yeah, skills is there, funds are there. It's all about how you do it. So as a farmer, as a young person who is into farming, what that had chance to look through these solutions, what would you tell these young people?
Actually, ICT make things easier, right? When it comes to the private sector, mostly we are looking on three things. One, reducing time. If you can have a solution that can reduce the time we are spending on the things, it's useful in the private sector. Second things, we are looking on something which can minimize the cost. So even farmers, they need those kind of solutions because they spend a lot of time and money on farming, and then sometimes they didn't got some profit. So if you can create something that can reduce costs, not only farmers, but also the private people, they can buy it. Third things, we need the profit. Either farmer, either any kind of someone who venture into business, we need that kind of profit. So those kind of solutions that can create the things to increase the profit, no one couldn't buy it. So what we need from you is just creating the solutions which solve the problems on the ground. So, and what can I share with you? I think there's a secret in the private sector. Lilian said that the farmers are not able to buy your solutions because of their status. What if you can work with those big companies, those companies who are working or who are sourcing the primary productivity from farmers? Like, I can give you an example. For me, I need the sweet potatoes. And then we have farmers across the country. I'm not sure if I can able to collect the productive from each farmer. So if someone can create a solution and come to me, say, this solution can help you to reach your farmers directly and, It can even help you to correct the farm. You know, actually, we have many of the farmers we have in the country, they are farming on small scale. So you can't imagine to have to take a vehicle and go to Muhanga, just taking 50 kilograms from one farmer. But if we can have that kind of solution, that bring together those small scale farmers and make sure that they know where they can put their production, like collection centers. And then those collection centers linked with the company that is needed those products. It's easier for us. So we are minimizing the cost, increasing the profit, right? So that's why we need those kind of solutions from you. And if you want to really to make money, go to those companies. We have like those Nutri-Mama, Nutri-Tot, yeah? They need a huge productivity from farmers. In Nigeria, those big companies, they need solutions that make them, that help them to make their profit with minimizing the cost. The other things I want to share with you is there's an ongoing application call from NIRDA. You know NIRDA? You applied for the Innovate for Industry? Yeah?
Near the National Industrialization
Yeah.
Research Development Authority.
So they have a code for application. It's called the Innovate for Industry. So they need those kind of solutions I was talking about, IT solutions, and they think the deadline will be maybe Thursday. So be ready to apply if you have the solutions that can create or impact on industry, these are our industry revolutions. So the last thing I can share with you, that's simple things. Don't think, you may need the three things to be successful. One, follow your passion. Don't do the things because you want money. So follow your passion, and you are here to learn. Use your career and skills, and then use available resources. Resources is not about money. Resources is about people. Resources is about political wills. Resources. So those three things, when it's mixed, you can be successful. Thank you.
So thanks, Regis. Himself, he needs a solution. He wants, aggregation. Anyone who is willing to actually propose him something, he's willing to pay. Isn't that interesting? So speak to him afterwards. Lillian, most of these innovators actually are going to be your competitors, if I may say. So if you don't really watch out, they might, take you out of the market. But competition is good, as we know. So what you've also had a chance to look through some of the innovations. If you put aside the competitiveness part, can you just, what can you tell them? You've been in the sector for 6 years. You've worked with farmers. You more or less understand some of the realities. What is your takeaway message to them?
Yes. Yeah, competition is healthy, by the way. And when you actually serving in a market where there's monopoly in the market, sometimes you don't get the environment you need to thrive. So competition is healthy in a sense that it keeps you on your toes. You want to offer the best to be relevant on the market. So I'm here to inspire you. Just follow your passion. Work hard on whatever you're doing. And sometimes don't be threatened by, like Jean-Paul said, don't say there's a Lillian out there who's also doing this. No. Sometimes it may be an opportunity for you. Sometimes competition comes also to collaborate. You can choose to collaborate. We have a very good example like Tigo and Airtel, understand, who teamed up together. Now they're standing against MTN. So who knows? When you have a great solution, and maybe I'm struggling to get something that can add more more significance on my product, we may actually even team up, you know, because I'm also on the lookout. It's agriculture is a huge, huge industry. There's a lot that you can do, you know. And even though for me I'm focused on cereals, but you understand there's a lot to do in horticulture. There's a lot to do in, you know, the different value chains where you can serve. You can never run short of where your innovation can actually be significant. So I can just say work hard. And although we are spurring you like this and wanting you to really work on your innovations, I can say that out there it's not easy. You know, it's not easy. There are challenges that will come your way that you'll want, that will make you even give up. That time comes, okay? You may even start as a team, and then along the way, some of the team members just leave you, and you're left alone with your vision. So when you make up your mind to go into something, make sure you have all the stamina you can get to work on to what you want. Don't let anything deter you. Hard work pays. You know, hard work pays. It may take time, but eventually you'll make it. I love the tips that he shared with you. If you follow through, then success awaits you. Thank you.
Thank you. Another round of applause for the panelists. Yeah, I thought that was really inspirational, and you know, to really get more out of the panel's list. We want to take a few questions from the audience. If you have questions, please raise your hand. They're here. They will be happy to respond to any of the questions on what they've just said, or you're seeking advice on what you're doing, or you just want to ask. Oh, no question. Really? Okay. Yes, so you can use the mic, or if you're loud enough, just stand up, tell us your name, and or I think that they need to record.
Thank you very much. My name is Nijena Jerome from African Center of Excellence in Internet of Things. I'm in Masters. So I'm very interested with the panel, especially for Jean-Paul, specialist in agriculture. He said, but as the soil is like a human life, it has a life, it can sick, it can be treated so that it can have a good life. So as we know, here in Rwanda, most of farmers are not educated. They use the soil, but they don't know that they have a life. So I want to ask the methodology that you have, so that the farmers, they can know the health of soil, which kind of crops they can plant there. So is that a question? I want to turn back to Liliane. She said good things about, as a young professional, when we bring innovation, first we contact to the users. We use their mind for developing a good innovation. So other things I wanted to talk about is Internet of Things. As we know, we make things to connect, or device to device to connect each others. But in our generation, we know that there is some area where we cannot have access to the internet. It is impossible. So how can we, there are many areas, there are no internet. How do you use that technology or other method you can access the user without internet connectivity? Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. My name is Taisenga Theonest. You've talked about the quality of soil our farmers uses, and also my concern is about those farmers, they need a loan from the bank to grow their crops, to use technology in farming, and so on. So what are you going to help them to get the loan? Is it because today to get a loan is not a short process, it takes a time. You can apply for a loan and you get it after a long time, after season, so that you can no longer plant or grow your crops. So that even if you get a loan, is not still helpful for you. So what are you going to help farmers, or how are you going to connect farmers to the bank who give them a loan of agriculture loan to get those loan easily for growing their crops? Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm by the names of Denise Wimana. I'm an engineer, owner in irrigation and drainage. My question goes to Jean-Paul, who said about soil sciences. Sometimes you can have a chance and you do all soil textures and you may see or know the soil characteristic, and you say that it's a loamy, sandy loamy soil, and then you decide the crops to be grown in that area. But the problem, you will see that before you grow any plants or any crop, you have to be having a history of that area. So maybe, for example, I have done it in Yamata, Mayang sector, where I was planning to plant melons. So I reached there and I found that in that area there isn't any history of melons. What they grow is beans and maize. So I tried to make some measures. I tried to use to test the soil using a hand by making a ribbon, and I found that it's a sandy loamy. So sandy loamy, it can help melons. But the problem is, once you reach in the sector, they told you that we don't have a history of someone who grows melons. That's a problem. Another problem I would like to say about irrigation. You will find that in Rwanda, we do not have a lot of lakes or source of irrigation. But we try to make too deep so that we can see that even though we can reach for 80 meters, whether we can see whereas what we call water table. So that water table can be raised up and lifted to be used in irrigation. So my problem is, what advice can you give to someone who wants to bring like a technology of using sensors in agriculture, especially in irrigation? Thank you.
Thanks. I think soil has raised a lot of interest. If you can attend to those questions, and then I hear offline solutions where there's no internet connectivity, and then there's access to finance, and then there's her questions. If you can, try to respond to those. And on access to finance, I can see someone from Access to Finance Rwanda in the audience. In case he wants to chip in, I will also give him a microphone.
Thank you so much. I really like your interest in soil health because it will not only help you as an entrepreneur, it helps the country. I want to ask you to look at statistics that are produced by National Institute of Statistics of Rwanda. When you look at the average maize yield in Rwanda today, it's less than 2 metric tons per hectare. Less, right? And looking at the climatic condition, geo-ecological condition of Rwanda, we should be in the 6 and upward metric tons per hectare. You get? That's a 3x. That's a 3 times what you are getting. Now, if you would be able to apply your skills and your technology to bring a solution that will convince a farmer that if he worked with you, he will move from 2 metric tons to 6 metric tons, and then translate that into financial returns, you know? Maybe he was getting 20 bags, he would get 80 bags or 100 bags at a cost of X amount per kilo on the market. Who will not follow you? You know? Even somebody who didn't go to school, if you say, I'll help you get 100 where you were getting 20, but you need to give me 20 out of the 80 difference you are making, it's a no-brainer, right? And that's what I'm thinking. You guys who have gotten a chance to go to school, who can bring those solutions that will make us tap the potential of our country, will help you and will help us. The second thing I want to say, especially with you, the government of Rwanda actually have put over 20 billion in irrigating areas, you know. One of them I've worked in is in the area of Nyagatare, a place called Matimba Kagitumba. We did about, I think is 800 hectares like that. Yeah? Latest technology, pivots, you know. And the farmers there, despite having irrigation, are still making 4 metric tons, you know. Now you move from 2 to 4, right? With irrigation, whereby the potential of irrigation would move you from 2 to 10 or 12, right? Now, what is the game changer there? With your ability to use sensors to know what moisture the plant needs, maybe at planting or flowering or maturing, you are able to work with those farmers and say, look, you are getting this, you work with me, you can get this. It's not free, you will pay me because I'll help you make money, right? And not only you and the farmer will benefit, but also the government who have put in those billions, you know, will benefit because the idea behind was Rwanda is small, you know, we need to really make it bring all it can bring, but because of the level of knowledge of our farmers, they are just giving, you know, they're getting a fifth of the potential, right? So back to your point is understanding that soil is like a human, that it has a challenges. It's like the way we keep telling people, go to the hospital because you may not know you have diseases, right? For people my age, every year we must go to health check. You know, there are people who go to the hospital only when they are sick. No, you need to go there even when you are not sick because something may be hidden. Now, tools that are available you can start with. As AGRA, we have funded companies like INAS, Etablissement Nkubiri, yeah? You know, a guy called Nkubiri towards Nyandungu, right? That gentleman, we helped him build a laboratory, a soil laboratory, where if you just take a sample and bring it there at a very minimal price, they will tell you this soil is loamy or is sandy, or, you know, they give you the composition of that soil, and then you can take that information, go back to that cooperative or that farm and say, I want to work with you to make the most you can get here and make your money there. In addition to that, they can also help make for you blended fertilizers. We fund them to make area-specific fertilizers so that you give the soil what it needs to produce the maximum of that. In addition to that, we've worked with RAB, you know, Rwanda Agricultural Board, to bring to market new varieties, you know, of maize, beans, soya, that are appropriate to different geo-ecological condition of the country. A good news is, this year, the government of Rwanda didn't have to import any seed for the low and mid altitude because we have them available and we are making sure now they get to the farmers. We are working now on the high altitude, hoping by next year you will have 4 or 5 different varieties you can get to farmers. Now, what will it do for you as a young entrepreneur? Once you convince that farmer that he can make 5 times what he's making and pay you a fee, then you will make your living. And if you can even digitize it, that people through an app. You ask them question, they answer, then you give them recommendation. You can make money when you are sitting in your house. That's what technology brings. Now, to the question of loans, I know there is the gentleman of Africa, AFR there, Access to Finance Rwanda. We as AGRA have also given money to Bank of Kigali, right? Beka. Basically, they have launched this year something called eCoffee, an e-wallet, right? So what our funds are helping them is to take the first loss, of any farmer who may borrow and not pay, but at least make it possible for a farmer to borrow, quicker using your phone, right? And that is already up and running. And what it will do, it will not help maybe that farmer who needs 10 million, no, but that one who needs 5,000, 20,000 to buy his seeds and fertilizers without going far. The way you buy units on your phone, soon you start, buying some fertilizers on your phone, some seeds on your phone. And we hope they will actually expand it to agricultural insurance and all those other things. So I will stop there.
Thanks. So, access to finance. You're a farmer. Just tell us, is access to finance a real challenge? What are some of the alternatives? Eric, you want to chip in? Yeah, so right after him, we'll hear from Eric. He works for Access to Finance Rwanda. They've designed a lot of programs to help actually banks or other financial institutions actually give funds to farmers. I will ask him to chip in. And then right after, Lillian will tell us offline solutions. Internet penetration in Rwanda, I think, is 20-something%. How do you also serve offline rural farmers? She'll also tell us how she's doing. Yes, Regis.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, access to finance is one of the biggest challenges of farmers. And what we are doing as a CAR group or any other company that is working with the farmers, we make sure that the farmers are getting the contract. Because those commercial bankers, they are looking for those contracts for them to be guaranteed that the money will be back to them. So like yesterday what we did, we signed with them the contract. And even there's a young person who is working on that. When a farmer has a contract, he bring investor or any person who want to give the money to someone who has an idea, and then he link with those investors to the farmers. So if we want money as a farmer, that young person, they link you, and of course there's some commission, and after harvesting, after costing everything, even yourself, because most of the farmers, they don't count themselves as employees. So for them, they count everything, and then after harvesting, they count on the profit, and then they divide that profit with the investor and the farmer. So we are trying to make sure that the farmer is secured with working with the banks, but also, as he said, mobile money. The way in our contract, we ask them to have a bank account, so that instead of sending them the money or giving them the cash, we send to the banks to make sure they are doing some transaction on their bank so that the bank can trust them. But if some of them, they say, no, we don't have a bank account. Okay, we say that, okay, we can work with the mobile money to make sure that we can send the money through mobile money, and the mobile money can be the guarantee to the bank to see at least you are doing some transaction on money transfers. So that's how the private sector and those young entrepreneurs who are making agriculture as a business, as a big investment, that's what we are doing to make sure the farmers are getting some money to invest in their farms.
Yeah, thanks. I know Access to Finance Rwanda is doing some work around de-risking agriculture, and Eric is here today. If you can just tell us what they are doing, and you can actually, go find additional information. Eric.
Thank you very much, Claude, and thank you to the panelists who gave us good insight. My name is Eric Musizana, and I work for Access to Finance Rwanda. It's a private company that supports financial sector development. One of our beneficiaries also include smallholder farmers. And whatever we are doing here, our aim is to actually support development of the agriculture sector. And you can't develop agriculture sector without having really capital for investment to increase productivity so that the whole value chain, the whole system, even the processors, as our colleague is doing potato processing, they need to have volumes, raw materials for processing. So access to finance in agriculture has so many challenges. My colleague said, rightly put it, that if a farmer goes to apply for a loan, some of the financial institutions, the banks, they grant you a loan when the planting season has already passed. That is already a challenge because they are actually making you default because you won't be able to pay back the loan since you have not really followed your planting schedule. So what we are doing at Access to Finance Rwanda is supporting the banks, the whole ecosystem in general, to come up with the right products and the services so that those institutions can provide the products that are tailored to the agriculture. So one of the reasons these banks are not able to service farmers in a more efficient way is because they don't understand the sector that they are dealing with. So if they don't understand the sector, they hardly trust the farmers. What we are doing currently is to help them understand how the agriculture sector is behaving, because this is a unique sector. The way you are financing agriculture is not the way you are financing ICT, is not the way you're financing health. So one of the examples that I can give you is that when we were conducting a market research, we came across one of the layer poultry farmer who applied for a loan. So you're applying for a loan to do your poultry farming. So you can only be able to get the eggs after 6 months. And when a bank grants you a loan, they ask you to pay after 1 month. So automatically, you are not going to be able to pay your loan. So the banks need to understand how these value chains work. They need to understand what does a poultry farmer need to have money and be able to pay you. So what we did with 4 microfinances and 1 bank to put in place agriculture credit units. So what those agriculture credit units are doing, we are trying to put in place the people who can interact with farmers when they understand them. Most of the times, a farmer goes to a bank and interact with someone who did economics, who has no clue about agriculture, who has no clue about how the maize behave, how the coffee behave. So that person will only be able to service you, to give you a loan when he understands you. So those people who do credit appraisal and analysis, they don't have the right skills to be able to understand how they can actually help you. So what we did, we supported these financial institutions to come up with the products, the agricultural loan products that meet the farmers' needs. So that is one of the interventions we did, but we also help them have the right skills in terms of assessing the risks, in terms of understanding the agri-value chain financing. And we have seen impact because when we started to work with these financial institutions, some of them in a period of 1 or 2 years, they have even tripled the amount of loans they are giving to the smallholder farmers. But also, the non-performing loans percentage and rate has gone below. So we are also working with a number of other partners, like the Ministry of Agriculture, to put in place a scheme, a scheme to support, because agri-finance itself cannot work if you don't have things like insurance to help them share the risks. So we worked with the Ministry of Agriculture to put in place a national agriculture insurance scheme, so that these financial institutions can finance farmers in a more comfortable and efficient way. Coming back to technology, Access to Finance Rwanda is also supporting some of the initiatives. As I mentioned earlier, one of the failures in agri-finance is that banks don't have visibility in terms of business performance of the smallholder farmers, but also other value chain actors. The financial institutions don't finance farmers because they claim they don't have clear visibility of what they are doing. How much this cooperative is earning on annual basis. So what we did is actually to digitize value chains. We are digitizing dairy value chain. We are digitizing Irish potato value chain. We are digitizing coffee. And one of the things that came out is these banks, when they understand how farmers are doing, when they understand how much money they are earning on a seasonal or annual basis, they become more confident, saying that, you know, we are working with the farmers who are really performing. We are working with the farmers who are earning more money, who are registering a kind of profit that can make us comfortable and say, this person is going to be able to pay us because he has been performing over a certain period of years. So like in a dairy, when you look at money that these milk collection centers are making, they are making a huge amount of money, but you cannot trace it. You cannot see it anywhere because they are still using, you know, papers to record their business transactions. What they are doing is actually digitizing all the transactions so that they have a history, credit history, and the banks leverage on that data to actually provide financial services. So one of the key challenges, actually, one of the panelists was saying, is that whenever we are designing these technology solutions, we need to understand who are we designing these applications for. If you look at the average age of our farmers in Rwanda, most of them are between, you know, 40, 45, 50 years. Those people, they have been doing this business for years. So they have their own beliefs. There are also cultural aspects attached to that. So when we were doing a research, we wanted to support the coffee farmers being paid through their mobile money. But some of them will tell you, we really don't want to hear that, because I think there are even beliefs where they tell you those are things that are related to evil or something. That those who will tell you, okay? So I think technology is good. Technology is an enabler because it makes things easier. It creates visibility, it creates transparency. But if we underestimate the efforts we need to put in educating our people, we are creating solutions that are not going to work. So we need really to think of other supporting functions to make sure that whatever we are designing, whatever we are putting on the market, will work for our smallholder farmers. I heard my colleagues saying a number of areas, Jean-Paul, where you want to support linking these young entrepreneurs to big companies, but also I think you need to think of creating a kind of increasing level of understanding of our farmers. You need to invest in education, educating these people, help them understand the benefits of actually using these financial solutions, these technology solutions. You know the issue around the collateral. If you go to a bank, for a bank to give you a loan, you need to give a collateral. Our smallholder farmers, they don't even have those physical assets that the banks are asking. Even those who have them, the collateral, the condition, it's very demanding. It has to have the value above 100% of the value of the loan that you're asking. So what you're trying to do is actually to come up with alternative solutions that will help financial institutions provide the loans to smallholder farmers without even asking them the what? The collaterals. So to be able to do that is actually to create that visibility of the business performance, and it's through technology. But we need to really to invest in education so that our farmers can understand the benefits of using these technologies. Thank you, Claude.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. I hope that was hopeful. If you want to know more, you can always see him after during the networking session. So Lillian, offline solution for farmers. Right after Lillian, we'll take the last round of questions. I was expecting more from innovators. If you can prepare your final questions, please, Lillian. Offline, can it work? Rural areas, farmers, no devices, no internet. Is digital really an option for them?
I'll be very brief. When you look at the challenges and the negative side of things, you don't get anywhere. The fact that our government does a lot to invest in the right infrastructure and create the right environment for digital tools to thrive. So that's why we have the likes of Irembo. It works elsewhere, everywhere. So when you're going to go into this business, sometimes the right thing is study the environment in which you're going to innovate in, okay, where you're going to work in. That's some of the things, that's one of the aspects I look at when I'm going to select a district or an area where I'm going to work from. I look at the internet connectivity there, but particularly to address that problem, we've gone into USCT technology, which does not require that. But then if Internet of Things really depend on availability of internet, then that's something crucial you need to look at. If it's not there, then you don't want to waste your time there. Focus on what works, study the environment well before you launch into that area. That's what I can say.
Yeah, I think there are a couple of offline solutions into farming. If you do a quick desk research as a master's student, I'm sure you'll come across a couple of them that have actually worked in some parts of the world. There's also hybrid solutions, offline plus online, whereby, in the field it's offline, but then you link it up with online tools. All these are possible. Next round of questions. Idris, you had a question? And then we'll take 2 or 4 more, and then that will be it.
Thank you so much. And thank you, panel, for your great advice and your opinions. Very inspiring, really. My question is to Lillian. As a female entrepreneur, what kind of barriers that you usually encounter or face? What kind of challenges? And what would be your advice to young female entrepreneurs in this market or regionally as well?
Any other question?
A lady, preferably. Okay.
Okay. Yes, and then any last one?
Thank you. My name is Barambonye Solange. My question is related to climate change and agriculture. How does it affect how is agriculture is being affected by climate change and global warming? Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. My name is Emmanuel Mwizerwa. We are talking about agriculture, but seems like we are forgetting another part of agriculture, which is livestock. So I would like to ask our panelists to take through the livestock sector. What are the challenges? What is the expectation of innovation to that sector? Thank you.
I think Jean-Paul will help. Any other question? No? Okay, there's one. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Kose. So I would like to ask one question in regard to marketing. So any of you in the panel can answer. Like normally when we build solutions to some of the problems we encounter is we sometimes build it, it works very well. But again, we face a problem of customers like reaching out to customers' expectations. So my question is like, what are some of the strategies you use to reach out to your customer or user base, and like what are your advice in regard to the same? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. So, Lillian, day-to-day journey.
Wow, that's a very interesting question. As a woman who's also an entrepreneur, there are a lot of things that you face along the way, particularly because this industry is driven by men. You know, the majority, the giants in this sector, they are men. The few women who are good developers, who are, we kind of fear. Even when we study that in school, sometimes when you're in that sector, you tend to shy away from the technical part of the business. So one of the things that I found very useful is to really, if you're into something, then you need to know everything about it. You need to invest in the right knowledge. Learn as much as you can to be ahead of the game, because IT is a continuously changing sector. Time and again, there are new updates, the new innovations, technology advancement. How it was 2 years ago, it's different now. So you always need to be up to date. So that's one of the things that I found very challenging in this sector. And as a woman, because it's driven by men, you brush shoulders with men a lot. So you need to have, and I'd say this to young women, you need to have discipline. You need to have discipline. You need to understand that, to have that confidence that you don't get what you get because you're a woman. It's what you bring on the table. So you need to bring the right attitude on the table, the right skill set, the right expertise, and understand that it is by merit. It's not pity. It's not empathy towards what you bring on the, towards including you in this. It's a very competitive industry, and you need to up your game. So that's one of the things I've really found challenging in this sector. Day by day, you keep trying to level up, you understand? Yeah, so that's what I can say. Apart from other factors, of course, that we all share as entrepreneurs, access to finances. But again, one thing I won't forget, you make sure that you get the right mentors. Mentors are very, very important, because once you get a mentor, maybe like JP, you get a lot of knowledge that you'll not get on amongst your peers. When you go into business, your peers become older people like JP. You talk to them, you consult them, you get their views, their advices, because that's what will make you succeed. So you get the right mentors on board to equip you, to mentor you, to get you where you want to be. Another question that was, I guess it was about marketing. Yes. So in marketing, like what I said before, you need to understand your customer. Because as a business person, you tend to put your interest ahead. You know, you want to tell this person, I'm bringing this to you, you know, but most of the time you're more inclined on what you're supposed to get from it. But if you switch your mindset and look and place yourselves in the shoes of this client, whoever you're facing, and try to understand what is it that you're bringing on the table that they'll want to pay for. What are they getting from the solution you're giving them? And put more emphasis on that. Then you're speaking their language. Otherwise, when you come with your own, you know, I don't care how sophisticated it is, how nice it is. If it doesn't speak to the interest of the client in question, then they won't relate to it. So that's why it's critical to, even when you're designing the solution, think about the user. This is something I've learned a lot from. Think about who's going to use this solution, you know, what are their interests. You know what Reggie said? You're looking at time, you know. If you're going to reduce on the time they waste on making something happen, that's efficiency. If you're looking at the cost, and if you're looking at maximizing their profits, every client wants to have that advantage. So if you look at that from that point, it will be easy for you to speak to their needs. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Lillian. Regis, there's this concept of climate change. You know, a couple of people think it's a myth. Other things, actually, climate change is real and it's here. If you've been following the news, you know, some European countries are really pushing for it. Some other American countries are saying this is not actually a reality, it's a myth. So in Rwanda, as a farmer, if you can just tell us, is this thing real? How is it affecting you? What are you doing to mitigate some of the risks? And then related to that, also I think touch on marketing, and then we will wind up with JP, livestock. What can ICT do in livestock, and what are some of the things going on that you've either worked on directly or indirectly?
Let me start with the marketing. Actually, before you put a product on the market, you have to make market research to know exactly what the market is looking for. And the other things, you have to create a value. Actually, the consumers buy value, not the size or any kind of things. They buy the value of the product. So when you are creating the product, make sure you are creating also the value which can be consumed by the people. There's a guy who used to say that you can't see the money in the air. So the money is in the pocket of someone. So you have to make a product that can be, that can attract some person to bring the money from the pocket, from his pocket to you. So to make sure to do that, he only buy your product because of the value that product has. So in terms of marketing, after making marketing research, you create a value and the people buy the value instead of the product. On the climate change, of course, the climate change affects the farmers. In Rwanda, I can say compared to other countries, it's still low, the effect of climate change, but it's there. But that's why the government is calling young people. Farmers should not depend on the rain. Farmers should depend on the water. So that's why when there's a climate change happening, it doesn't affect our farmers. But when water is everywhere actually. Someone mentioned that we don't have lakes. We have so many. We have so many lakes. We have a lot of water. So what we need is just using those water efficiently. Otherwise, if we are waiting the rain to come and make sure the farmers are using rain, that's where we are being affected by the climate change. And Agra is supporting the farming in greenhouses. So actually greenhouse is one of the solutions to mitigate the climate change. But I can say that within our country, I can say now because of the government is emphasizing on put a lot of energy in mitigate the problem, because of meteorology, it's now informing the farmers that tomorrow it will be maybe the raining's coming, you know. So the government is now setting up the standard to make sure that the farmers are protected against the climate change. That's what I can say. Maybe agro has more, but I can say that. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Maybe briefly on climate change, then livestock. Climate change is a huge opportunity for making money, you know? And you need to know problems are opportunities, right? Actually, a successful entrepreneur is the one who take a problem and turn a solution that will mitigate that problem, right? And I tell you how. Climate change is real. If you want to know it's in Rwanda, drive towards east in May or June. Just past Rwamagana, Kayonza, down there towards Ndego, you realize a place where people used to harvest in June, by mid-May, the rain is gone, right?
So it's real.
It's real, and
Okay.
it's here, right? So climate change is real, and it's here, and it will get worse if no solutions are found out. Now, 2 or 3 areas you can make money on climate change. One, if you can be able to use your skills to link meteorological data with planting seasons, you could make money by just becoming an advisor to farmers and say, given what, you know, data is saying, rain will stop mid-May, right? And then if somebody wants to plant maize that will take March to July, you are saying, actually, it will help you not to plant maize because you will lose all your crop. Plant onions or cabbage because those things can mature in 60 to 80 days. You get? So if you can position yourself to be an advisor to farmers on how to lead trends of climate and plant accordingly, you can make money right there, right? The other thing is what my sister there said. Water is everywhere, and actually climate change is not only lack of water, it's also too much water. You know, sometimes, you know, rain come at an unexpected time because, you know, the air has changed. So the whole aspect of borehole, you know, basically it costs between, depending on the depth, $5,000 to $25,000 to have a borehole that can give you X cubic meters of water per hour, right? And if you are going into something like watermelons, which don't need shower rains, they need drop water, you know, with X quantity of liters, you can produce on X areas of hectares and still make a lot of money. So it's just a matter of using your skills and say, okay, in area like Bugesera or Mayange, I'll do my computation. If I invest $10,000 in digging a borehole, which is a perennial, which will never end, and then I'm able to make watermelon on 5 hectares of land, then over X time I recoup my income and I'll make profit, right? So bottom line is to say, climate change is real and it can be an opportunity for you to make money by mitigating it, right? Now, back to livestock. My initial premises apply even on animals. Animals are like human. They are living, you know, thing. And the productivity of a cow, be it milk or meat, is a factor of the health of that cow and the feeding of that cow, right? And we are going into zero grazing, you know, era, meaning we need some solutions here that if my cow is only in its stable, never goes out, I need to be able to know how much quantity it has eaten, how much water it has held, so that I can anticipate the productivity of milk or meat I will have over X time if I want to sell milk or meat. And today, as we speak, there are solutions where using sensors, and technology, you can actually be able to quantify the meal plan of a cow and correlate it to the quantity of milk or quantity of meat you want. If you want to fatten it, then you need to feed it a particular type of food so that it, gain weight, because you want to sell meat. If you want to get milk, you need to feed it in a way that it will produce X quantity of milk. And the challenge today, which is an opportunity for you, an average cow in the rural area produces between 4 to 6 liters a day, right? Now, we know from science that a cow that is well fed and properly bred can give you over 20 liters a day. So do the mathematics, move from 4 to 20, or from 20 to 50 if we get the Jersey and these that come from foreign countries. And you can still be able to apply technology. There is sensors. You just put it somewhere in a cow, and it will tell you the movement it's done. It will give you the quantity it has eaten. And that partnership between you and, the farmers of cow will be able to generate an opportunity for you to make money. Thank you.
Thanks. So, to the young people, no excuses. Opportunities are all over. Whether it's livestock, whether it's farming, it's full of opportunities. Thanks to the panelists. I just want you to, in one word, just what would you tell these innovators? Just in one word, encourage them. And I'll also call Jonathan. He has some announcement to make as we wind up. One word, just tell them. What would you tell them? Not two, just one.
In one word, what I would say, go out there, we are behind you.
Okay, Regis.
In a simple word, just follow your passion.
Good. Lillian.
Never give up.
Brilliant. Round of applause to the panelists. Let's hear from Jonathan.
Hello, everybody. I hope you all had a great time today. My name is Jonathan Nkola from Frankfurt School of Finance and Management. Frankfurt School of Finance and Management, in partnership with the University of Rwanda, is implementing this program here in Rwanda, but also in partnership with another university in Sudan, where we are also implementing this program. I'd like to add my voice to the moderator to thank you, our panelists, for the job well done. Thank you very much for sparing your precious time to be with us this morning. We really appreciate all those wonderful insights, and we really trust that everybody in the room has benefited from it in one way or the other. I no longer fall within the bracket of the youth, I think. So, but I have some important takeaways. So thank you very much also to our moderator. We have the hackathon coming up on smart agriculture on Thursday. How many are ready for it? You are not quite sure about it? I need some strong hands. We served a very good breakfast, so I would expect some levels of energy. So we are having the hackathon on Thursday. So after this session, you can meet me up here to give you more briefing about this hackathon. If you have any questions, we're happy to address these questions. Thank you very much once more, and have a great day.
Thanks. So, those who want to network, please
mbona wamefanikiwa kututenganisha mimi na wewe. Yote uliyoambiwa yamekupotosha mpaka sasa unipendi. Jua langu limepotea na unagiza ingawa mchana. Ukiwa mbali sijazoea, my sweet Stella, nataka rudi home. Mapenzi ya kolela nimechorea, nipe chance nirudi kwako. Tukiwatch telenovela zinanichocha, natamani rudi home. Mwani wako mwani wako mwani wako nifungulie roho. Mwani wako mwani wako mwani wako nifungulie roho. Mwani wako nifungulie roho. Mbona ukutosheka? Kila ulipewa ulisema ni kidogo. Well, I gave you all I had. Jamani sielewi mbona you are leaving me alone. Nimejaribu kukuelezea, ila unasema tu uongo. Aloniroga naomba tuongee sasa, my sweet Stella, nataka kurudi home. Mapenzi ya kolela nimechorea, nipe chance nirudi kwako. Tukiwatch telenovela zinanichocha, natamani rudi home.